Welcome to All Worn Out. I'm your host, Warren Meredith. On the show today, Super Kyle Humphrey. He's the founder and a public speaker at No Such Thing as Can't. It's his passion, it's his life's work to share with the world that physical ability is an opinion and someone's difference doesn't have to define them in a negative light. Let's get started with Super Kyle Humphrey. Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Worn Out. It's a podcast about music. It's a podcast about what you're passionate about, and it's a podcast about what our guest is passionate about. We are very lucky, excited. We're losing our mind over here. We got double ginger. I'm jealous of the depth of his beard right now, the thickness and the orange. We've got the one and only Super Kyle.
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Yeah, I'm excited you're here, man. This is a long time coming, folks.
We've been waiting 4 years for this.
Probably. It's probably been about that, eh?
Well, because our friend anniversary on Facebook just popped up, and it was 4 years ago. I mean, I've been in the scene for 2 years, give or take, right?
Yeah.
But when did we meet? How did we come across each other, man?
What I really remember is the Lazies show.
No, that's what. Yes.
I mean, I remember seeing you before around in the scene, and I mean,
that was my first time that night.
Because aren't you also friends with scene member? I believe her name is Jamie Lee.
No, so I brought Jamie Lee Edmonds into the scene.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Well
Hi,
done.
Jamie Lee.
Yeah, shout out. Because, you know, I see all these people that you're with from the scene, and it's like, well, not only have you joined it, but you've added to it.
Yeah. So that Sens game that we went to last year, right? But it was like 12 of us or whatever. Jamie Lee was there.
Yep.
I invited Ryan.
Yes.
And they sort of hit it off.
Nice.
And so they went off and did their own thing. And Ryan sort of brought her to a bunch of shows and whatever. So everyone says Ryan introduced her, and I am happy to share that.
No.
I introduced her to Ryan.
Yeah.
So,
it's his point. Okay.
Yeah. But it was nice to be able to connect everybody from the rock scene and from my passion, and clearly your. Whoop.
Sorry.
The world can't see it very well, but there's a Mark Stone.
Oh,
bobblehead box right there, and your passion.
Yeah.
And that's why, my No Such Thing as Can't is red, black, and white. It's, I want to tie everything together.
It's like the Ottawa colors.
That's it. I still don't understand why the Ottawa flag is red, green, and blue.
Get with it.
Yep.
Get with it. I mean, look at the Red Blacks, okay? The Red Blacks, we got the Sens, we got the 67s. It's enough for me.
I think the Titans have even caught up.
Yeah, whoever it hasn't caught on yet should just catch on. These are our colors, folks. And I like it because I like the color red.
Absolutely. And green, green looks good on you.
Yeah.
But, it's about the red, black, and white. The
fall season is here. It's upon us. So that's why I'm wearing my sweater today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not sure exactly the first time, but I remember when you were at the Lazy show, when you came out, and I remember telling the road trip crew.
Yep.
I was like, guys, I'm running around being cuckoo Warren and doing my thing. Would you guys please take care of Kyle and make sure that he gets down the bajillion stairs at the Brass Monkey? Because it's not the easiest, traverse down those stairs.
So that you try to get me out to that show 1,000 times. And, I kept saying, I'll try and get to a show, a whole thing. And we were sitting on Facebook having that conversation. And Kathleen Maher, I worked with her at Amazon, and she came up to me and because of my spot with Cornicky for Rebel.
Right.
And she said, hey, you're that Super Kyle guy on the radio. And so I said, yeah. And she goes, there's a show at the Brass Monkey coming up. And so I was like, well, you know what? Warren's asking me, she's asking me, there's a whole bunch of people I know that might end up going. And I ended up meeting a whole bunch of new people.
Yeah.
I ended up meeting Ryan Conway and ended up, I ended up closing down the bar with the Lazies. There's a nice picture of that from years ago.
Right?
I met, obviously, Kathleen's better half.
Sean. Yeah. And also Trevor Phillips, Kylie, Connor.
I was saving the best for last.
All those crazy kids, right?
I got to meet those guys as I was leaving, and I got carried up the stairs and get to the top, and I go, okay, where's the nearest bus? And it's 2:00 in the morning, me not realizing it, and everyone starts laughing, and they go, there's no more buses running. And so Trevor walks up and he goes, listen, I gotta drop my friends off first, but I'll drop you off when I'm headed back. Perfect, thank you so much. So they actually ended up dropping me off first because they realized where I live, and they all live closer together. Drop me off first and get to the I'm about to walk in my apartment, and they go, hey, hold up. We're going to a show tomorrow night. You want to come? Yeah, I'm like, well, they haven't offed me yet. So,
they're pretty awesome. Yeah. I really love them, and I think everyone in the community loves them.
Yep.
And now you're one of them, so we just love you even more. And
that's it.
Right? And this community is really great that way.
Yep.
That there's a lot of people who I believe are mainstays, or long-term music addicts, or whatever you want to call them.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I think it's amazing that there's that part of you in the music community. Now, when did the chair in the air? When did the famous Super Kyle begin?
Oh, okay, so let's take it back a few years. Let's take it back 13 years, my friend.
13?
13 years was my first time.
Wow.
I was volunteering Blues Fest.
Oh, okay.
And Billy Talent came to town, and I was given as a volunteer VIP passes to sit in the posh section. And I said, perfect, with 2 passes. Invited the buddy. So I invited my buddy. And he brought a book. He brought a Dostoevsky book that was that thick. And I said, well, if you're going to sit here with your book, I'm going to go get in the pit, because that's not going to happen for me. Yeah. So I jump in the pit, and there I am trying to make my way through the pit. Get through about halfway. Me in my second mosh pit ever. My first mosh pit was Great Big C. Which the entire crowd just jumps that's just how it is, right?
Yeah.
And so there I am at a Billy Talent concert, mosh pit, or the back of the mosh pit. And I go, excuse me, can you help me get up? And the guys go, you want to go up? I said, yes, please. So the guy locks my brakes, and I went, oh, that's not the kind of up I was talking about. And so there I go, and two guys lift the front, 2 guys lift the back, and I go up. For the first time ever.
So you thought maybe they were going to pick you up out of the chair?
No. I thought I was going to go forward.
Oh, move up.
At first I was going to go forward, and then they went, well, yeah, okay, we can get you up.
Oh.
And I went up.
Oh my gosh.
And so that was a good time.
Yeah.
That was my first time crowd surfing. And I did not get to crowd surf for until I started hanging out in the scene.
Okay.
And
did you do it at the Lazy Show that night?
That's actually not true. I got to crowd surf at Alexis on Fire.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
That was a wonderful show where they invited me up to sing.
Wow.
Yeah. And when they invited me up to sing, I sang We Are the Sound. And for anyone that knows that, or for anyone that doesn't know that song, it's a song that basically talks about being able to affect change in the community. And I've been trying to change the Ottawa community, and we'll get to that in a bit, but trying to change things in the local community with regards to transit. And so them having me sing that song at the beginning of that fight for me, a year into that fight, was perfect. Perfect timing. And then COVID. Then COVID took over. But we got out of it, and here we are, and having some fun now.
Kyle, we should be automatically added, in my opinion, you and I both. We should be added to that mayor of the nightlife, whoever that guy is. He's looking for his volunteers.
Yep.
Look, I don't think we need to even apply. Okay,
that's it.
They should be saying get those 2 gingers on the council immediately. Yep.
So if you're watching this and you're watching it on YouTube, go ahead and send that link, the link that's here somewhere. Go ahead and send that link to Matthew Grande. And it's matthew.grande@ottawa.ca. go ahead and send him this email. Hi, Matt. And we would love to be part of the night crew.
Yeah.
Because we have a good grasp on
the scene.
We
know some stuff about the rock scene.
Absolutely. You know what?
We could add to the party.
Venues, sidewalks. I mean, just getting to and from places. You know, there's so many things.
How many venues do you have an easy time getting into in Ottawa?
An easy time getting into.
Yeah.
Well,
because right now I'm thinking of the Rainbow.
Here's the thing.
Brass Monkey.
Yes. So I
Live
have an
on
easy
Elgin.
time getting into, or someone in the wheelchair. So someone in the wheelchair. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Because of me.
Yeah.
I walk up and they go, "Okay, who's lifting Kyle?"
All right.
Right?
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
It's a who pulled the short straw, right?
Yeah.
However, someone in the wheelchair generally would be turned away, or would feel like they wouldn't have that luxury, right?
Right.
And so when I think about going into those venues, I'm thinking about someone who is heavier using a manual wheelchair, someone who's not confident in walking up to two guys sitting outside the Brass Monkey and going, Hey, so you probably heard my name from the radio. Want to lift me up? And that kind of thing.
It just blows my mind. Like, the more I think about it, how none of these places, most of these places, it's not friendly at all.
And I mean, so it's pretty cool because I'm hosting a party at the Rainbow, as you know, and I'm hosting it at the Rainbow. And I was thinking Brass Monkey first, but I'm hosting it at the Rainbow, really anywhere that has stairs, to showcase that, to showcase how hard it is to be able to get into venues.
Yeah.
And next year I'll be throwing an event. I'm looking to throw an event where we'll have 2 towers that we'll build, and we'll have relays. We'll have bands playing out throughout the day, but the relays will be teams of 5, and they'll have one person sitting in a chair, and then 4 people carrying that person up and then back down. Now, I'm not sure how safe running up and down stairs is, but we'll get to that point.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Lots of insurance.
One stare at a time.
One stare at a time. That's it. Yep. If you fall, you're disqualified.
Oh, fair enough.
I mean, so, but that's the kind of example that it's going to take for people to understand.
Okay.
Right?
So let's go back in time. I want to rewind the clock now all the way. So, all right. What's your very first musical memory ever? So this is...
Ever?
Yeah.
Sharon, Lois, and Bram.
Okay. Skinnamarink Dinky Doo?
That's it.
I love it. I loved Sharon, Lois, and Bram.
Yep.
All that, the TV from that time period, I love it. Huge. Under the Umbrella Tree, Fred Penner.
Fred Penner. He came to Ottawa a couple of years ago, and I missed it. And it would have been so nice to be. No, I mean, he's Fred Penner that grew with us.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
He's no longer the child-friendly Fred Penner, which is nice.
I know.
We're seeing all of our childhood, even Lisa Foyles. I found her. She's in a rock band.
Cool.
Lisa Foyles from YTV,
Nice.
And it's that kind of thing where everyone from our age, or even Steve from Blue's Clues. I mean, you and I are a little bit old for Blue's Clues.
But I still remember it.
We remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I know what happened with Steve. Like, he's a phenomenon. What he went through with his life is once in a lifetime world kind of deal. Like, it's very rare that you'd become beloved by millions of children to the point that they write you 20 years later and they still want to talk to you. And, it's something amazing. I mean, I loved Mr. Dress Up growing up. And of course, he based his stuff off of Mr. Rogers. And I didn't connect as much with Mr. Rogers as a kid, but I did connect with Mr. Dress Up and the drawing and the costumes and the tickle trunk and the imagination, all that good stuff, And so that's cool that was your first musical memory. Can you remember
my second?
Yeah. What's your next one?
My next one would be when Mom and I, well, mostly Mom, wrote a song to the tune of Summer Lovin'. Called Summer Camp for Camp Marywood, the Easter Seal Society.
Okay.
And it was basically just all the things a kid could do. And I mean, it wasn't about summer loving or anything of the sort. but it was all the things a kid could do at summer camp, camps that are accessible for people that use mobility devices. And so that was my real second one. But my first, I'd say, musical concert, and at 34 years old, and as the guy who starts mosh pits, the Backstreet Boys. Was my next one.
They're a powerful one for a lot of people. I believe it was Eric Desarmo who was on here, and he was talking about that, and he's like he was, presenting his metal project, and he was like, no, like Backstreet Boys is like that first one stuck in my head. And I'm like, I have memories down in the basement with my cousins, and they all loved the Backstreet Boys, and so they had like the music on, my girl cousins, and they had the music on. We're all dancing around to it, and I, doing the moves and pretending, and it was... Man, it was fun. It's part of our childhood. My sister was obsessed with the Spice Girls.
I will say this: I still have Aqua in my regular rotation. Yep.
Wow.
It'll be winter taming. Sorry, Aqua and this disaster. Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
Excellent. So how do we start into this? You're 4 years old. You're going to school.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything different about Kyle at this time? Is there any unique challenges that you're dealing with at the age of 4? What is different about Kyle? I
didn't have a beard, so that was, different.
That's a lot to deal with, folks. For a ginger, not having a beard, it sucks.
Yeah.
Just going to say it.
So the first school that I remember going to was called the Little Red House, the Little Red School.
Okay.
And that's out by, that's out in Orleans. And it's near one of the bars, but it's still there. It's still there, and I get to walk by it whenever I go to a show at Broadhead. And it's kind of cool because it brings back a lot of good memories. There were a lot of schools that weren't. I mean, it wasn't accessible by any means. It was up a flight of stairs, and I had to get out of my chair and climb up those stairs. And back then, I did walk a lot. I used my crutches and braces.
Really?
Yeah. And I only stopped walking at 18. We didn't know why. Didn't find out until I was 26, 27 years old. It was multiple sclerosis, but that's a whole other story. When I was a kid.
So in the beginning, then with the thing with your legs, then. So what did you believe it was? Something with your spine?
Oh, the walking issue was something called spina bifida.
Okay. Yes.
And so for people who don't know, basically my bones in my spine and the base of my spine didn't finish closing, and my back was open when I was born. So as they tried, the doctors tried to fix me, the nerves were damaged, and so my legs became weaker. And while they did still work for many years, and they were very good to me, it did cause a few issues. Now, I did walk almost exclusively for years and years until I was about 13 years old with my crutches and braces. 12 or 13 years old, and then I ended up having multiple surgeries over a couple of years. Ended up with meningitis at 13, and flatlined. Yeah, and my mom ended up being the one that was there to bring me back, with no paddles, no nothing, with just a mother's love and her ability to try and give me CPR. And I came back, and then I stuck around for another 11 years. And at 24 years old, I ended up with sepsis, so a blood infection. And ended up with a blood infection caused by the pressure sore that I had from the time I was 21. And once I was in the hospital, it wasn't looking good, but I ended up coming out of that, thankfully. And at 25 years old, my 25th birthday, my mom wanted me to have a memorable birthday. And so she invited 300 of my closest friends. And she just went on my Facebook and asked everybody who was within the Ottawa area if they wanted to come. I mean, I have a bunch of friends. I have a buddy in Scotland and whatever, and then Newfoundland and that sort of thing. So that she just said, who wants to come? And so we threw a party, and 35 is going to be another party. So it'll be good.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's so much. That is so much that you went through. Just it's a lot for someone like me who generally was lucky and blessed with health, right? And not having these issues. For someone like me hearing this, each one is overwhelming to a very large degree. I had a friend who had meningitis, and he almost died as well. It's a very serious thing when you get meningitis. It's not nothing to mess with.
You know, it's a lot. Things are a lot easier, and I went through this at 24 as well. Things are a lot easier if you don't know what's happening to you. When I was 12, 13 years old, it was, let's just get through whatever this is.
Okay.
I was 6 years old. My doctor called my mom and said, called my mom on Halloween and said, you have 13 days to get him into the hospital. We're operating on the 14th. And my birthday is November 14th. And so she said, but that's his birthday, so you can't operate on that day. And the doctor says, do you want him to have another birthday? And so mom came to me and said, Kyle, I'm sorry to break the news to you, but you're going to have a surgery on your birthday. And I looked at her and I said, but mom, what a better day to save my life. And that's the wisdom from a 7-year-old.
Dude, that.
I don't know if I have that in me at 34 years old, but I mean, hey,
you had it, man, and you do have it. Yes, you do. You do have it still. And that is so amazing that is the way you were taking it right away from that point. And yeah, I guess you're right. I guess there are things in general that our parents dealt with that we can think of. Even if we didn't go through things like Kyle, we can think about the things our parents shielded us from, protected us from, tried not to let us stress about, you know? And
I grew up in Overbrook, and I grew up on Borthwick for a few years, and then we moved to Beaconwood. And some of my best memories, and where I met Jamie Lee. Let's go back there for a second. Where I met Jamie Lee 30 some odd years ago was on Borthwick.
Okay.
And it's not the happiest part of town. But for me it was, because I remember, wow, here we go.
It's all right, man. You already got me going too. I got Kleenex there as well. Thank you.
I remember the pool, the little kiddie pool mom had out front, and I remember water balloon fights with non-latex gloves because I couldn't use balloons because I'm allergic to rubber, and stuff like that mom made fun for me, and I remember I was 10 years old and I trained for the Terry Fox school race.
Yeah.
And got to the event on the day I qualified it in the school round. I got to the event, and they said he's not going to be able to run. He's going to block all the other kids. And so
wow,
we may or may not have had some of our friends in the media show up, and all of a sudden I was allowed to race.
Yeah,
because
that's
what it takes to change anything in this world these days. And it's the same thing that takes. It takes the same amount of power doing things like this these days to change things in the city.
Yeah,
and I have been so grateful for so many people who have taken me in and helped me spread this message. Just that we need to change this city and make it accessible to everyone.
I believe so. And you're absolutely right. We need to include everybody in everything we do in this city. If you want to know something, our new Senator's owner, I don't know why I quotationed him, but our new Senator's owner, he talks about being first in class.
Yep.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with our city taking this on as a motto. I don't think there's anything wrong with us saying this is the capital of Canada. We are a leader in the world. And we need to show people that we are a leader in the world. And the fact that Yeah, well, that just made me really rage inside when you mentioned that people were trying to tell you about the Terry Fox race. It's like, no. You don't understand. Like, Terry Fox was for Kyle and for all of us, but man, if you're going to get in the way of a young Kyle because of whatever your bully for ego or whatever the hell that was, that's just so small-minded.
I mean, does that person even know who Terry Fox was, first of all?
Obviously not.
Yeah.
Obviously, they just had no idea what the whole thing's all about. So, I mean, it's like, I'm glad you had those friends. So, I mean, I've seen pictures of you going back years with the legendary Max Keeping.
Yeah.
What role did Max Keeping play in Kyle's life? Because, like, when does he jump in here and start, becoming a friend of yours?
4 or 5 years old. Max was just always there. We're recording this on the 30th of September.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay, man.
Tomorrow's the anniversary of his passing. And it was I was with him 2 days before he passed, and getting to spend that time with him, I was able to spend every week with him for months in his old age home, where he stayed. We watched baseball. We watched Sens playoff hockey. We watched the Jays, that run the Jays had with the bat flip and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And before I watched baseball with Max, you couldn't get me into the game. Yeah. Now I can watch a pitch and go, why did he throw that pitch in that situation right now? Why didn't he throw this pitch? And that's where I'm at now. And just
tell me the story about high school where you had him come out to an event. I love that story.
Yeah. So, we were doing a Toy Mountain event, and there was someone that was supposed to come out. I don't know who it was. That person, sorry you were sick. Doesn't matter now.
I bet.
And someone there was a commotion out front, and someone had said, does anyone have anyone that we might be able to invite? And I didn't say anything. I texted Max, and I said, hey, is there any chance you might be able to come over to my school and help us launch Toy Mountain? And he was at a United Way function. And he said, give me a minute. He texted me back. He said, give me a minute. And I get a text back 5 minutes later from his assistant saying, I've cleared his day. He's coming to see you.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. What a good dude. What a good dude.
That's who he was.
Man.
He was.
It goes beyond the Chio things where you saw him on TV.
Much further. It does.
Went way beyond that, didn't it?
It went to people on the street people who lived on the street knew who he was. And it wasn't because they were sitting there watching Max Keeping on CTV.
No.
It was because he was kind to them.
Yeah.
His granddaughter and I were born one day apart.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, 1 year he'd celebrate with her, 1 year he'd celebrate with me on our birthdays. And, so we got to split them and we got to share them. And, so that was Max. Max is still involved.
Yes.
In everything I do.
Yeah, man. He's still involved in this community. He's still involved in everything this community does. I mean, what he built at CJOH with several people was very community oriented. And most of those people graduated from Algonquin College. Mm-hmm. They didn't have university degrees. It was a different time. And things were, when the changeover happened, it was difficult for me to handle. It was difficult for me to understand why if things were now bringing all these people in from out of town, far away, this and that. I kind of liked how we had something local and something that was for the community. And I'm not saying that Scooby's not great. Don't get down on me. I think people are coming around to the community and supporting it more as well. But man, that was a special time. Mm-hmm. And when did they introduce you to the support of the Ottawa Senators? When did the Ottawa Senators start getting involved in Kyle's life?
So the Sens was through Easter Seals, and Easter Seals was there from before day one. When my mom was told at 21 years old, for anyone doing the math, she's 29 now, or I think we agreed she's 39 now. I forget. Sorry, Mom, I love you. Mom and I were invited to a lot of events, and some of those events, were called the Bell Sens Skate for Easter Seals Kids. And basically, we got to skate on the Corral Center, ice, and it was called Corral Center back when I got to use it. And got to meet some of the they'd pick 2 or 3 players every single year. So I've met everyone from Alfie, obviously, who knows me by name now, to Chris Phillips and Chris Neal, who both of them reached out when I was going through my ulcer, and I wasn't able to leave bed. I wasn't able to get through whatever. And both of them reached out. I had 2 surgeries for the ulcer. And I have a friend who was at an event with them. And the guys came by my phone number and called me. And I'm looking at this unknown number going, do I answer it? I'll answer it. And, hey, Kyle, it's Chris Phillips. Hey, buddy, it's Chris Neal. And it's just, I have been so blessed to, Ottawa's got 1 million people in it now.
Yeah.
But it's really a small town.
Yeah.
It really is so small town. And the fact that we have, legend NHL players that are willing to reach out like that. Human beings who continue to make an impact. I wasn't able to get out to the Sens Day the other day, but I guarantee you Chris Neal was there.
Oh yeah.
I guarantee you Reg was there.
Oh yeah.
And it's so cool to watch how they still interact with fans, how they still are. And Chris Neal, Chris Phillips, and I have our own special relationship, I'll say.
Yeah.
To the point where, let's just say we tried to figure out how to get me into the bench when there was oh yes, there was a fancy dinner. We were all in our suits and ties. And there's Chris Phillips and I trying to figure out, how do I get into there and then back down those steps? And we got up to our shenanigans. It was fun.
That's awesome.
I appreciate those guys so much.
Yeah.
And just
so do I. Yeah. I love hearing about that. And everyone in the city should be so proud of those guys, because I know that it's like you said about Max. It goes beyond. It's like you just know that they're doing this and they're giving this time out to people, and they don't have to.
Nope.
They're doing it because they're good people.
We actually, so I say we because I've been with the family since 30 years ago. His sons, and they were all adopted sons, and just sons through association. And so we did not find out about any of his donations to people on the street or anything like that until years after he passed away. And just the kind of person that he was, someone you can aspire to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did these people help inspire No Such Thing as Can't?
What inspired No Such Thing as Can't? Oh boy, let's take it back a little bit. I'll take you back to how the sentence came out, and then we'll take it to where it is today.
Okay.
When I was 5 years old, my mom was pregnant with my sister, and she was about to give birth, and she said, "Kyle, it's time you take up big boy jobs. I need you to go make your bed." And so there I go off, I go to make my bed, and try putting a fitted sheet on while you're sitting on the bed. Or while you're sitting on the fitted sheet, for that matter. Yeah. So there I am trying to put it on. It's not moving because I'm sitting on it. And I go back to Mom, tears streaming down my face. Mommy, I can't do it. And so she goes, Kyle, come with me. And so she has me write out, I can't. However, 5, 10 times. The little trace a letter things we used to do. You did those as kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So I traced it out. I can't.
Yeah.
And then she goes, Kate, can you take your pencil and turn it around and use that eraser and erase that pesky T? So I erased that T, and that's why it's red and broken up. It's red and broken up. There we go. You see on the side here. And so I erased the T, and she goes, can you read it again? I can. And as a kid, a magical moment, it just flicked on like a switch. And so I've used that for years just to chase my dreams. When the school system told me I had to stay in, the special unit because I used a wheelchair, all that sort of thing, I fought to get out of it, and just be who I am.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to fail, let me fail. But like, don't keep me trapped in here because, for years, and get this, while I was the ambassador of several Easter Seals and all those the organizations, I wasn't a kid's kid.
Yeah.
I was able to interact with all the adults.
Right.
But interacting with kids? No. Talking to the cute girl in school? No. So what did I do? I'd go to school and I'd just keep my head down and whatever. But the second that they stopped having someone, cart me around the school all day, and the second I didn't have to be in that class, I found my voice.
Right.
And my friend Kylie Waghorn invited me out to her hockey game. The friend I made within 5 minutes of being at the new school and having that second chance, right? And so I went to her hockey game. And there was a girl I went to middle school with. And it was about October or so. And girl walks up, and her name's Katie. Katie walks up, and she has a gift bag, and she goes, I know your birthday's coming up. I got you this. And I still have that Daniel Offerson figurine that she gave me, what are we talking, almost 20 years ago now, And, but it's things like that where I had to fight to get out of the system. I had to fight to remind the school and remind the powers that be that, yeah, I use a wheelchair. Okay. But at the end of the day, I deserve the chance to be able to make these connections and make all those things. So once I started going to the hockey game, whenever, I made friends with all of the girls on the hockey team, which was awesome because all of those girls were also on the rugby team. Yeah. Hi, Michaela. Oh yeah. So it was a good time.
Cool.
It was a good time, and I got to be socially active and just go out and do whatever.
Immerse yourself.
Back then, the OC transpo buses had the 3 steps, and there was a bus driver, and I saw him today. I will leave you nameless just in case. But if you see this, you know who you are. I got on his bus. I got out of my chair, pulled my chair up his bus, got back on, and I said, all right, how much is bus fare? And he goes, don't worry about it. And, but they were just amazed at that point. And this is well before any of the ramps and the whatever and that sort of thing, because social life doesn't stop. Me having a girlfriend at 15, 16 years old, 17 years old, 18 years, however many years ahead, girlfriend doesn't stop, And so what do? You get on the bus, you get on whatever part of the bus you can, and you go out and you live your life.
Yeah.
You get in your buddy's car if you're able to, whatever it takes. And that's what I've been trying to do since back then, is just change the idea that someone using a mobility device has no social life. Because you know what? booking paratranspo the day before, it doesn't work. I didn't even take paratranspo here today.
No, Kyle came wheeling down the street. He shocked me.
And I didn't take it here today because I would have had to have booked, because you live across town from me.
Yeah.
I would have had to have booked 2 hours in advance to get here.
Wow.
And they have the opportunity to pick me up immediately and drop me off within so I could have been here an hour and a half early.
Okay. Wow.
And
all right.
so it's...
Yeah, well, I've seen that before with Jen, who comes out to a lot of shows. She's had, sometimes she's very early, sometimes she's left there at the end of the night, still waiting to be picked up.
Yep.
So I've witnessed it, issues with it with other people as well. And over the years, I've also witnessed other people have similar, you bring up some really interesting issues or interesting points here. So Cody DeYoung was the rocker and a walker here in Ottawa for many years, and people loved Cody. And I went to high school with Cody. I went to middle school with Cody. And Cody always had a worker with him, somebody who was like his assistant or whatever. I don't know how to describe this person, but he had someone with him. And I think it was a detriment. I think him having that person around kept others away. Like, I remember finally getting to know Cody and finally getting one-on-one and realizing, like, oh, he's like super, everything is there. There's nothing missing. He's 100% amazingly cool dude and like brilliant.
Then you got to know me and there's something missing there.
Oh, yeah. I was like, Kyle, ooh, but no. You know what I mean? Like, and you realize, like, oh, I was so stupid. Like, I did have the thought in my head that maybe something wasn't going to be there, but how ignorant was I? And then I finally got to be Cody's friend and learn all this stuff about him, and God bless him, he's passed. But I mean, this is the thing. I've witnessed this several times in this music community now, where we have people who are incredible members of the community, and yet they must fight, legit fight to be a part of our community. And I don't like it. And I know a lot of us don't like it. So, I mean, gosh, you joke about stuff growing up. You joke about the handicapped bathroom. You joke about the handicapped parking space. Let me ask you, has this stuff legitimately affected you in your life? Like, you
absolutely has. Mom and I were, and I'm gonna say Mom and I a lot because we're a team.
Hell yeah,
we are. We have been for 35 years. And counting.
Yeah.
And so. Years and years and years ago, we fought because there were, especially during Christmas season and that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry if that causes an issue. I said Christmas, but
oh no, my friend, that does not cause an issue here.
So, Christmas season rolled around, and there we are, and there's 1,000 people in parking spots, and there's only so many accessible spots, right?
Yeah.
Well, I just need the wider spot.
Yeah.
To unpack my chair, right?
Yes.
Unload my chair. I can push. I can do marathons. I can do all that kind of thing. So Mom and I would take up 2 spots in the back of the parking lot, and we'd get a whole bunch of nasty messages and that sort of thing. Yeah. And would take issue with all that stuff. But that's because there's a limited number of parking spots. And doctors are giving out, especially this is 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But especially today, doctors are giving accessible handicap parking spots to everybody.
Okay.
They're giving the passes out to everybody.
Right.
And whether it's they have a bum leg or they have, whatever. And mom's had this great idea for years. And I really need to bring it forward to city council because they need to change this. If we're able to, or maybe Ontario, I might have to go higher.
Yeah.
Higher, Doug Ford. But I might have to bring this to Ontario, where different colors for different reasons that you have your pass. So if you need a closer spot, but it doesn't have to be bigger, no problem. Here it is.
Yeah.
It's this big. If you need a bigger spot, but it doesn't have to be close, here you go. It can be any number one of these ones, right?
Right.
And so there's 1,000 different reasons that people need these things. So if we have different colored parking stalls, then we have better parking system.
Yeah.
And so Mom, if you're watching this, I will get to that soon. I'm going to the next Transit Commission meeting next month.
So it seems like you've been the head of certain organizations over the years or represented like the Easter Seals, things like that. Do you feel like you have to be the head of an organization or enter into the political world to make change happen?
You know what? I said no for years about being a politician. I said no for years about all that stuff and whatever. And then I ended up joining a group called Paraparity that aimed to change paratranspo. And I watched as every single person in that group was ignored time and time again. And so I left the group. I went out on my own because I'm not about to drag them through what I was about to go through. And I went and crowd surfed. Didn't see that coming, did you? Yeah. I went and crowd surfed some band called Alexis on Fire. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I love them.
Pretty good band, right?
I love them.
Crowd surfed that band. And basically took that 5 minutes of fame and ran with it. I ran towards every single person that would listen and every single news outlet, media person who wanted to talk to me about anything. I said, perfect. When you put a title on this, when you put, a caption, please put something to do with someone who's fighting for better transit. Accessibility advocate. And so I was able to speak with Global News, for example, and one of their headlines was accessibility advocate crowd surfs Alexis on Fire. And which, I mean, hey, how cool is that, right? That was pretty awesome. And I got to get that little bit of input. And thank you to everyone who's taken this on since then, because that actually led to, that's how I ended up in the scene from back then. Transit led me to crowd surfing. Crowd surfing led me to some lady named Laura Collins emailing me, who at the time worked for Rebel 1017.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in for my interview. And that day there was a band being interviewed. And some guy named Brad Lake was there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So my world was forming around me and I had no idea 4 years ago. Yeah. And that's probably how, you started hearing about me and how, we connected and everything like that. So
yes. It all comes full circle. It's not a huge community. Like you said,
yep.
Ottawa is very small town in many ways. Yep. And
it is.
We are definitely very community oriented here, and we need each other to have one another's backs in this city.
That's it. So when I was trying to fight for let's say, for example, online booking, paratranspo, I have a screenshot of me sitting on the phone, because for paratranspo, you have to book the day before for them to pick you up. And then for the second pickup, you have to call them and say, that the day before. So you have to plan your whole next day. So if you don't have, if you don't find out what you're doing until 6 p.m., the office is closed at 5. You can't call them anymore. Imagine that, right? And it's still the same way today. I'm trying to work with the city to change that. But I was sitting there talking to people about this, and so many people just don't seem to excuse me. So many people don't seem to understand the need to change all these things.
Yeah.
Most of our population, most of our users are elderly or aging.
Oh, what?
Okay, well, what about them going to see their grandkids?
What?
I have nieces and nephews that live, whether it's in the south side or the west side, and I would love to go see them all the time. I would love to be able to, middle of winter, take them skating and do whatever. But how many times have you planned it out to go skating on the canal, and an hour and a half in, of a 3-hour planned day, you're frozen, and now you want to go home, you want to change, you want to get your hot chocolate and do whatever. Well, I don't have that luxury. If I book to be out for 4 or 5 hours, I'm stuck out for 4 or 5 hours. And paratranspo doesn't offer the opportunity to change that. They have fit-ins technically, so I'll tell you this: they do have fit-ins, but fit-ins aren't guaranteed. The way the booking system works now, fit-ins aren't guaranteed, and so paratranspo is very flawed, very broken, and the city doesn't seem to be listening to everything that everyone's saying right now. So
they're not. And Kyle, the people of this city don't like. Listen. The transit here is not good enough. Period.
Yep.
Even the regular transit, if they're telling you that we're happy, that everyone else is happy, that's bull.
No,
that's a load of baloney.
No, I will say this. OC Transpo is better than paratranspo as a paratranspo user. But I have, I forget where I was headed the other day. I was waiting for the 88, and the 88 was, I think, 3 buses late. And so there I am on a very packed bus. I was headed to Algonquin College, and there I am on a very packed bus, and there's people being left behind, and there's no bus coming for another 45 minutes. Yeah. So I will say, yes, I understand. I totally get it.
It needs to be looked at.
It does.
And I mean, like I was saying about first in class, this city has fallen behind in its standards in various capacities. I mean, I don't know what it means when giant sinkholes open up on Rideau Street and things get swallowed into the road, if that's normal city things or, I don't know. And I'm concerned about this new live venue, how it's gonna work out downtown.
I'll tell you this, it better be accessible.
There you go. And has anyone considered this yet? Have they even thought about this yet?
Yeah, that's it. There's so many places that have either been renovated or whatever, and in any building that's been renovated to a certain point has to be accessible. But why not, first of all, change the sidewalks, make them a little bit higher so that they all meet with that little one step up, the one step up that every shop seems to have. Let's meet the one step up. Let's give the opportunity to everyone to go into whatever shop they want to. But you know what? It's so funny because no one's quote unquote blocking anyone from getting into, right? So it's not illegal. But it sure feels that way.
Yeah, I bet it does.
The number of times I've had to walk by a shop or whatever. There's a coffee shop downtown that sometimes has a ramp and sometimes has a patio out front. Starbucks. Starbucks. Where you know what? I was gonna leave them out of the conversation, but no, Starbucks.
Yeah, big money.
That's it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have a ramp and sometimes they have a patio. Well, why are we giving up the patio? Or why are we giving up the ramp to have more patio?
Yeah.
Like, why,
it's almost
why
like
deny people?
Yeah, they want to keep you outside. It's like they don't want to give you the ramp option if they can keep you outside.
That's it. And
that's just rude.
I think anywhere that has a patio license should have to have a ramp first. Plain and simple. And simple. This is a point where people will tell me, oh, that's a lot to ask of a company. You're eating into their profits and it's a small company. You know what? I understand. But at the end of the day, this is my mental health. This is the mental health of thousands of people from Ottawa, tens of thousands of people from Ottawa, many of whom will stay quiet because they've dealt with this their whole lives and they don't feel that they are worthy enough of what's happening. And it flabbergasts me that City Council and especially Transit Commission, but City Council as a whole hasn't stepped up and said, let's take care of this. There are plenty of people who are wonderful people on that City Council and who are I'm actually meeting with one of the City Councilors soon.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, this needs to change yesterday.
Yeah.
This needs to change 100 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, the concept of a wheelchair is 500 years old. 500 years old. 500 years old. Why are we still here?
I mean,
Yep.
it has to be thought about. It has to be done. You're doing the right thing by speaking out and speaking for people who do feel like they've been marginalized and they don't deserve to speak out. And everyone has a voice. Everyone deserves to use their voice. No such thing as can't. And that means Ottawa, you can fix the city. You can fix the transit. You have the power. I know we can. I know there's a lot of things we can improve here that we just have to put our minds to and agree to move forward and do it. I want to ask you about some more fun stuff.
Let's go.
So let's get into Super Kyle. You've got a big show coming up on November 16th, 7:30, $20 at the door, $15 in advance at the Rainbow Bistro. We've got Beyond Driven, who I want to get your thoughts on in a minute. We've got This Disaster, Renaissance, Don't Tell Sarah, Until, and Super Kyle. Okay, so that's a lot of awesome music for $15 or $20. I mean,
yeah,
that's a great night.
The fact that I'll say this, I told you about the pressure ulcer.
Yeah,
I told you about all that stuff. What I didn't tell you was, with pressure ulcer comes when it happened, and I told you it happened straight out of college. So the angsty phase in my life, right? And the phase where everyone's going out and everyone's having a good time and everyone's partying and doing all the things you're supposed to do in your early 20s. Well, call me 24 because here I am in my 30s doing all the crazy stuff that I was supposed to be doing 10 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
And, but so it was a lot to go through. And so when I look at a list of bands like this that aren't just bands, they're friends. Every single band I have playing and this is the first of many shows. This is the first of many. Every single band I have playing this first show, it has been a band that has stepped up or an artist that has stepped up for me, who wants to be involved in No Such Thing as Can't, in changing the way that we see the world. And I'm just really looking forward to, first of all, it's Until, the band Until. It's their first show. Yep. Don't Tell Sarah. I believe it's their last show of the year.
Cool.
Renaissance is looking to have a special surprise early next year. We were trying to make it work for this show, but it's not going to work. So stay tuned for that.
Okay. This Disaster?
It's their first show since, I want to say, Rock Out. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry, guys, but it's their first show in a long time.
And Beyond Driven, you've been on stage with.
Beyond Driven, I've been on stage with. And Aaron and the boys, I appreciate you more than you know. Doug Freak, the bassist, was the first person I met when I went to, after I got carried down the stairs, was the first person I met at the Brass Monkey. Tell you that story real quick. Dougie, I went into the washroom and there's no accessible stalls, right? I mean, it's an older building. I forgive you, monkey. It's okay. But Doug said, I'm going to stand guard outside the door. So Dougie made it possible for me to use the washroom. So thanks, buddy.
Huh, nice.
Yeah.
It always helps.
But the highlight is that Beyond Driven, and we have performed this song before, but Beyond Driven has written a song in my honor, called No Such Thing as I Can't.
Yeah.
And it stems from a conversation that lead singer Aaron Maiden and I had a little over a year ago now, you know, and she took that and ran with it. And It wasn't even a conversation about the song. It was just a conversation about life. And we wanted to change the mindsets of the people who listen.
Hell yeah.
And yeah. So I'm looking forward to everyone being there and getting to hear this for the first time.
Absolutely. Are you still doing sledge hockey?
I want to.
Okay.
I'm not working right now, so sledge hockey costs a little bit of money.
Oh yeah.
Paying to play the game, but yes, it is still my passion. It is still absolutely 100% something I want to get into. If there's an ODR and there's frozen ice somewhere, I will get on it this season. I might not be on a team, but unless I find a job in the next couple of weeks, but I will be on the ice.
Yeah, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's really awesome.
Absolutely.
And so, Blues Fest, Voodoo, is there any other concert memories that you'd like to put out there for us?
Oh, well, I mean, most recently we had City Folk.
Yeah.
And City Folk, I am grateful to festivals who continue to have, first of all, accessible seating. Because I've been that guy at the back of a crowd, and sitting with people who are this tall, excuse me, this tall, and you're sitting there going, well, how do I see this show?
Yeah,
And I've also been the guy that crowd surfed the show, but that's a separate story. But this gives the platforms give people the opportunity to see something of the show.
Yeah.
And to see what goes on instead of just listening, having it be a louder version of what they play at home, because that's all it is. If you're stuck seeing the concert from behind someone, it's really no fun. So, to City Folk, to Blues Fest, and, hey, I am to all of the wonderful, Panda doesn't have one yet. But I'm sure Panda will have one when it becomes necessary, when he gets big enough.
Yeah.
We love you, Brad. Absolutely.
Talk about Super Kyle,
okay,
the music. When did you start singing?
When did I start singing? Oh gosh. Mom, I'm sorry for this part. I started singing early, or was it early this year? Well, I started singing when I was like 4 years old.
Yeah.
And when you have enough surgeries, passions just sort of come and go as they are, but singing for me has always been something I wanted to do. Something that I'm recently finding out you should probably have lessons for. Maybe
not. It just depends.
Yeah. It depends.
You got to practice a lot. No matter what, you got to practice a lot.
That's it.
And practicing the right way always helps versus practicing things the wrong way. That's the same as anything.
Well, see, that's the thing. All of the people who teach all the things have this wonderful thing. Okay, can you stand up first? Well,
yeah.
I mean, yes, if we want to get a thing to stand me up and whatever. Oh, yeah. Okay. But my buddy Ryan, Mr. Ryan Conway, said to me, breathe as if you're trying to, how do I put this in a Ryan Conway kind of way? We can put on YouTube. Breathe as if you're trying to use the toilet.
Okay. Interesting.
And so there I am. And that's really how you breathe out your diaphragm. Right? That's what it feels like. But I had no idea what that meant. Everyone just kept saying, use your diaphragm. No idea.
Yeah.
Now I have an idea of what that means.
Yeah.
And so for the past, I think he told me that at the beginning of the summer. So let's say the past 5 months or so, I've been able to start breathing.
Nice.
And it feels good. It feels good to have a better voice, a better something. But the real kicker was Mom and I were sitting in the car, and Ryan King had asked me to sing with Holly Akers. And so I was getting ready for, it was like in a couple of days or whatever it was, and Mom and I were in the car, and Mom goes, sing the song to me that you're going to go sing. And so there I am, I'm singing the song, I'm trying to, and it wasn't sounding great, because I guess I'm trying to keep this low level of something and whatever. And then she goes, you should try and sing higher.
Yeah.
That's how the song is sung. Sing it higher, Kyle.
Yeah.
And so there she is, or there I am. And I look at her and I go, I'm sorry for whatever comes out of my mouth next. I'm sorry for how this sounds. Please forgive me. And I just let go. I just sang.
Yeah.
And she stops and we're driving. She didn't stop, but she stops.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, that is how it's supposed to sound. Right there. That's it. So when I tell you, I learned, my mom taught me how to sing. My mom taught me how, Ryan played his part, and, every single person that
gave you some advice. Yeah.
A little bit of advice here, a little bit there, and whatever. It all led up to, so I ended up singing at one point, I guess Lisa Thompson heard.
Yeah.
Lisa Thompson comes up to me at the last show she performed at the Monkey,
Mm-hmm.
and she goes, so when are you forming a band?
Yeah.
So I guess I have to do that now? I don't know.
Why not?
I'm not used to being the second coolest frontman.
Oh, come on now. That's nonsense. Listen,
I'll be the second coolest ginger frontman. That's okay.
I don't mind you taking over first place, buddy. It doesn't bother me at all. And honestly, I'm sure there's other great gingers in the city who do fantastic music. And
if you're a ginger watching this, comment on it. We want to.
Yeah, gingers, let's hear it.
Let's
unite. I think if you have the passion to sing, then you have the passion to sing. And you have to, I would say that right now you're in what's known as the exploratory phase, where you're finding the edges of your range. You're finding that you have more than one voice. So like you were finding with your mom, you're like, oh, I've got a lower register and I've got an upper register. And what suits it better? And can I use both at the same time? That'll be the next thing you're going to start exploring with is, can I shift gears between the two? And yeah, it's a lot of fun. You're just going to keep exploring and you keep learning. And the more you practice, the better you get. And it's about developing your ear as much as it is anything else. Your ear is what's going to tell you if you're flat or if you're sharp or if you're pitchy. So you got to get that ear going, and it helps a lot. But otherwise, just dig in, have fun, make a band. Why not? Make a song. Why not? And
let's go.
Yeah, get into it.
Who wants in?
Yeah. So are you going to sing on the 16th, on November 16th?
I am. Okay. I am going to sing something. I'm not sure what yet. I have...
With Beyond Driven?
With Beyond Driven. Okay, good. I have let all of the other bands know that I am up for singing with them if they so please.
Okay, nice.
But if the one song that I sing with Beyond Driven is what I sing, I am looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And it'll be, we're still deciding where to put it in the set list. We're still deciding if we want to close out the night with something else. But we might close out the night with No Such Thing as I Can't, because it's not my song. It's our song.
Yeah.
It's yours.
Yes, it's your song too.
Yep. It's your song.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Thank you.
I can't thank you enough. I know you are such an inspiration to me. You're such a strong individual, so much character, so much backbone, and what you've been through, it feels like it's just made you an emotionally stronger individual, which, gosh, that's what we all want, folks. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And thank you to everyone who continues to drag me through this life.
Hell yeah. Well,
I appreciate you.
They love you too. Thank you for watching out there. Leave us a comment below. Get out to the show and support Kyle. See him celebrate that birthday. And folks, just thank you. And we'll see you all next time on All Worn Out. Bye-bye, everybody.